Salutations, my name is Summer, and this is Reading with Quaker Cats. And I thought I would update you guys on some things that I've been reading. I haven't finished very much, but I've really been enjoying the things that I have been reading. One of the things that I finished was Marta Oli, maybe, by Sigrid Undset. This is a library book. It was very emotional and sad. I love the beginning of it. It's a novel of betrayal, and it's just, you're in this woman, this Marta. You're in her head, and it's a very. I mean, I think it covers just a couple of years, but just in the very first pages, it talks about like what the betrayal is, and then it takes you back of her thoughts and why this betrayal happened. But it's just the very first sentence is, "I have been unfaithful to my husband." And her husband is a wonderful man, and then it goes through that. So it's not a happy story, but it's beautifully written. The translator is this, I'm not sure if it's Tina because it has two eyes, but it looks like Tina Nunnally. Anyway, very sad, very short. I think it's like 112 pages or something. She is the author of this Kristen Lavransdatter, which I read the first book. This is a trilogy. I read the first book, The Wreath, with, I buddy read it with Scott Danielson, and that has been really enjoyable, and I plan to, it'll probably be the beginning of March for me to read the second book, and I'm sure he'll have it read before me, but it'll be nice to hear his thoughts once I get, I think the second book is called The Bride. And this is wonderful too. It is a story of Kristen Lavransdatter. The first book is about her when she's a child, coming into a teenager, which it's interesting because with how long her story feels in a sense, she's so young still, with all these things that happens. And there's things, like, I don't know how much to tell you about it, but it's funny because at one point her betrothed and father kind of like decide for her to take a year away at a convent. And I'm just like, wow, who decides to do that? But that's so nice because I felt like with things that have happened that she needed this healing of this year. But then she spends this year doing things that I'm like, no, this is not what this year is about. This year is about healing, and it should be healing in a different way. But teenagers, because really she's only like 16 years old or something at the time. So, beautifully, it's translated by the same woman. It's beautifully written, translated. I'm looking forward to the second book. So those are the only things that I finished. I've been really thinking about the book, the novel, Wool by Hugh Howey. I read it maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and I've been wanting to read the second book, Shift. And I'm thinking, but should I reread Wool? Because I don't really remember everything that happened that much. But then I saw at the library that they had this, which is a graphic novel of Wool. So I thought, well, this will definitely give me those probably tidbits, like bring the story back alive for me. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to reading this, and then I would like to start the second book, Shift. I keep looking at it on my shelf. Bookshelves really should not be in your bedroom, because when I'm in bed, I'm looking at my shelves and it's just like calling me from everything else that I'm reading, which is not good. Another book that I've been slowly reading and loving is Silent Spring Revolution by Douglas Brinkley, which has got me to order another book, which I'll talk about in a second, from the library. So I'm only on chapter 20, and I am, chapter 20 starts out with talking about Rachel Carson's death, like her last days. She ended up dying of cancer when she was 56. And it's just heartbreaking, you know, and just how much that she did for the environment and the world and animals and humans. But I read Silent Spring, I think last year or the year before. It's hard to remember times, but I do have a book journal that I am on Goodreads and Storygraph where I keep track of all that. But anyway, that's what we've started out with, was talking about her death, and so I was like, oh. And I set it aside, but yeah, on chapter 20. So reading that, I had never heard of this man before, which is so sad. I feel like those are things, you can see my little Prim's face. I feel like these are people that we should really be learning about, and maybe I just wasn't paying attention in school because I was not the best student in school. Even though I loved to learn, I just was very rebellious. Anyway, I want to know more about this Albert Schweitzer. I don't know, I'm probably mispronouncing his name. But this is a book called Reverence for Life that they talked about in that novel. So I definitely want to get to this. I have 2 autobiographies by 2 different authors downstairs that I ordered from the library. And my mom's interested too. I ordered 2 of these because my mom wanted to read it also. So I haven't started this yet, but I'm looking forward to knowing more about him. And then there's so many things that I've started that I'm still reading. On my Kindle, I'm reading the second Zola. It's called like Eugene, Son of Excellency, or I think there's 2 different names for it. But anyway, it's the second book. I think it was written in the 6th spot, books like as book 6. But Sean, we were going to be reading, me and Ariane, we were going to be reading it with him, and he was like, no, you need to read that one second. That's what Zola said, to read it second. So we're reading that, and I'm really enjoying hearing about her thoughts and reading it with her. Anyway, so there's that. I'm not even, actually I am halfway. There's 14 chapters. I'm on chapter 8. And it's very good. It's very different. Like, that's one thing that she had mentioned too. The feel of the book is different, but then I thought, well, if it's really was written as book 6, when we go to read book 3 in line, it was really written, it's called The Kill, it was written as the second book. So I'm curious if the second book, as we're reading it as the third, will feel more like the first book. And this one, like, his writing will change a little bit as we go through the series. It's just a thought. Anyway, I still have not finished The Americans. You know, guys, I will eventually. I am still reading a chapter, like how this book is set up. There's like part 1, part 2. I am in part 2, and I think I'm on getting ready to start chapter 2. Yeah, chapter 2. It's called Behind Bars. Yeah, so I am slowly making my way through. I am in no hurry. This is the last book in this series. It's the 8th book. I love it. Absolutely love it. So yeah, I'm in no hurry. Another book that I've been just enjoying because it's so funny, and I've been loving it too, is Tom Jones, The History of Tom Jones, A Foundling by Henry Fielding. This book is laugh out loud funny. There was something else. I just marked a page. So this lady, she feels like this other woman has been offended, and she's like, to be sure, I wish I had knocked his brains out with the punch bowl. I mean, calling other people a hussy, it's it says, "My lady to be called a nasty Scotch whore." The word whore is like, it's WH line RE, like they leave the O out, which I find it so interesting. This was completely unexpected. I wanted to read this for my Jane Austen project, and I saw that 2 other booktubers had planned to be reading it. It was like Mark over at Book Time with Elvis, and James at Quaint and Curious Volumes, I think. Sorry, but anyway, I'll link them down below. They're great channels, great booktubers. But anyway, they had mentioned about reading it this year, and I was like, I've wanted to read it for a long time. I finally picked it up, and it's very good. And it's about Tom Jones. It is a history of Tom Jones, but you find out about all these other people that come in. Oh my gosh. And he met up with this Quaker, and I'm Quaker, and it's like the exact opposite of what you would want someone to say about a Quaker. Like, he was very judgmental about his daughter, and I was like, oh goodness. But anyway, so I've been slowly reading Nightmares and Dreamscapes by Stephen King. I have this another one of my projects is reading all of Stephen King. I do not want to finish reading all of Stephen King, and I am a big rereader of his. But I noticed that even though I've read almost all of his novels, I have not read very many of his collections. Now, in saying that, I've read a lot of the different short stories, but not as his bind-up collection. So last night I read Chattery Teeth, and that was very scary. Those teeth that you can buy that you wind up and that's what the story was about. It was about this guy who ended up picking up a hitchhiker. I was like, dude, and he had a bad experience with picking up a hitchhiker in the past. And I'm like, do not, just like, if that gut feeling tells you not to do it, don't do it. If you don't, I think it's different for men too, where I think men don't have the fear as much as women when it comes to picking up people. But he had picked up a woman in the past, had a very bad experience, and then he was picking up this young man. And he should have listened to his instinct. But the Chatterley Teeth were there to save the day. So anyway, there's a lot of other things. I have a big stack of library books behind me that I don't know if I'm going to get to. I have a couple of other things that I want to finish. I'm on chapter 11 of Memnoch the Devil, so I'm over halfway of that. I bought the trilogy of the Gulag Archipelago. I always feel like I'm mispronouncing it because with that I in there, it throws me when I look at it. But I have not read very much of this because it's, what it's about. So it's very difficult talking about people being taken off of the streets, out of their homes, especially like at night. And it's like, it just feels different than if I would have been reading it 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to reading all 3 of the books. And I feel like they're beautiful. I don't know, there's just something about the different colors and how the print is on it. So in March, I plan to pick Les Miserables back up. This is a reread for me, translated by Catherine Doniger. I never know if I pronounce her last name right. But this is the translation I read in the past, and I love it. This is one of my all-time favorite books. It'll be my mammoth this year, even though I read 14 mammoths last year. I love, and I don't know if Tom Jones is a mammoth or Silent Spring Revolution. This is 800 pages, so it's probably a mammoth too. So, but I do love March of the Mammoths. It is my favorite booktube event of the year. So, and I'll link Jason's Old Blues Chapters and Verse channel down below, because he does the announcement for it and everything. He created the event. Anyway, yeah, I have a new job and it's crazy, crazy hours, crazy. My body's sore, but we'll see. We'll see how long this lasts. Um, but anyway, I miss BookTube. I've been watching. I've been behind watching, you know. Um, but anyway, let me know how you guys have been doing and what you've been reading. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.